All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD, or Application and Website Development Program, I have been doing a series of video presentations based on the book we'll be using for the AWD 1111 .NET Framework with Web Databases class for the fall 2019 semester. The book, as you can see on screen, is ProASP.NET MVC 5. An A-Press text by Adam Freeman. I'm working my way through Chapter 17, and I'm up to about almost the middle of page 517, using other filter features. The author says here, the normal way of using filters is to apply attributes as has been demonstrated previously. However, there is an alternative. The controller class implements the iAuthentication filter, iAuthOrization filter, iAction filter, iResult filter, and iException filter interfaces. It also provides empty virtual implementations on each of the on methods, such as onAuthOrization and onException. So in listing 1814, the author has updated the home controller to use this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the entire home controller as is shown on page 517 and also on 518. Now, what we did here was we removed the filters from the filter test action method. All right? And because they're no longer required. So now we should be able to add profile information to the responses of any action method. So there's the filter test. All that stuff is gone from the top of it. File, save all. Let's run this. And as we do, we will iterate over to /home/range_test/200. Okay, again, we get different numbers, no big thing. This technique is most useful when you're creating a base class from which multiple controllers in the project are derived. The whole point of filtering is to put code required across the application in one reusable location. The author mentions on the top of page 519 here, let me close this, we don't need it anymore for now, that he prefers to use attributes. He likes the separation between the controller logic and the filter logic. Okay? All right. On 519, using global filters. Global filters are applied to all of the action methods in all of the controllers in the application. There is a convention for setting up global filters created by Visual Studio automatically when you use the MVC project template, but which must be set up manually with the empty template. Since we use the empty template, we will be setting it up manually. Application-wide configuration is done in classes added to the app start folder, which is why we defined routes in Chapter 15 and 16 in the app start route config file. To create equivalent for filters, they want us to add a new class file called filterconfig.cs in our app start. Alright, so there that is. We will replace the code that comes naturally with the code shown on the middle of page 519. This is the same content that Visual Studio would have created for us for the MVC template. Alright, so we have to go back. We want to add a profile all filter globally and use the same method call that sets up the handle error filter shown in figure 1844. So in our filter config file here, we want to first come in there and add using filters.infrastructure okay. Next, let's just grab this line that's right here, and instead of new handle errors, we want new profile all attribute. Does help to spell things correctly. Filters.add, let's try it this way. Well, you can see we've got a profile action attribute and a profile result attribute. We do not have a profile all attribute. What I'm going to do, because I think this is what the problem is, I'm going to jump back down to the bottom of page 519, which is where I am, and I'm going to grab this whole thing right here. And add that here. Then I'm going to go up to the next page, grab all that, and add that here. Still getting an error on this. And it's asking me if I want to generate it. No. I do understand why it's giving me the error. I don't understand why the author would have given you code that would generate that error. So let's try this. This is kind of a hack what I'm doing right now. We'll do a profile on the action attribute, and we'll immediately follow it by a profile on the result attribute. So we've got them both in there, but whereas in the book they showed it as doing it with one, all right, we did it with two. All right. To demonstrate this, we have to create a new controller called customer. Oh, hold on. Okay. We've got all that. The next step, jumped ahead a little bit. Setting up global filters in our global ASAX. So we've got to put this in here. Okay. To demonstrate this, we're going to create a new controller called customer. Imagine it would be empty. Everything else has been. All right, we will come in and add the code that is shown here on the bottom of page 520. This is a simple controller, the author says, whose action returns a string. Figure 1812 illustrates the effect of the global filter, which was achieved by starting the application and navigating to the customer URL. So, File, Save All. Start the application. Did not go to the customer URL, but I will right now. All right. I'm at 1140. I'm going to stretch this lecture out a bit. The author says, ordering filter execution. I have already explained that filters are executed by type. The sequence is authentication filters, first followed by authorization filters, followed by action filters, and then result filters. The framework executes exception filters at any stage if there's an unhandled exception. All right. We want to next go in and add to our infrastructure. We want to add a new class, and we want that class to be called Simple Message Attribute.cs. All right. The code that goes in there is shown in the book on page 521 right here. There it is. The filter writes a message to the response after the on-action executing and on-action executed methods are invoked, part of which is specified using the message property. We can apply multiple instances of this filter to an action method as shown in the next figure, figure 1848, that's here. All right. So we're going to go to the customer controller. We're going to replace what's in there with this. We've created two filters with different messages. The first with message A, the second with message B. We could have used two different filters, but this approach allows us to demonstrate that you can configure global filters through properties. Now we're going to run the application again, and we are again going to iterate over to the customer controller. Oops, that was on me. I lost my port number. Here we go. The MVC framework executes the B filter before the A filter, but it could have been the other way around. All right? That's what they show in the book. Ours was this way. So ABBA. Okay, that's fine. All right, we have just a few more pages to go. I am going to stop because this is getting way too lengthy of a lesson. So I'm going to finish this up, the last 4 or 5 pages, in just a couple minutes.